What is up, guys? Randomonium here. Have not been able to make a lot of videos recently, and I will continue to apologize for that. Obviously, real life takes precedent, family takes precedent, and my career takes precedent over my hobby, which is YouTube. But I have been trying to pay attention to what's going on within the League community. I have been trying to stay up to date on all the drama that's been going on, trying to stay up to date with a lot of the conversations and discussions that have been happening. And one that's been happening recently is Voyboy came out with a video regarding NA solo queue, and that was picked up by a lot of other content creators. HotshotGG talked about it, LS talked about it, Red Mercy talked about it, I Will Dominate talked about it, plenty of others that I'm forgetting to mention right now. A lot of people, it feels like this really resonated with a lot of people, and I would say that it resonated with me as well. But the thing that kind of bothered me is that a lot of these content creators are taking a lot of heat from people online, and it's kind of crazy to me because these content creators, like, they didn't need to say anything about this topic, right? Like, they're making money. They can just stay silent and just keep raking in the dough. Like, there's no incentive for them to speak out, really. They're speaking out because they feel compelled to. They feel like that something that they love, a community that they care about, a game that they care about, is really suffering. And, it's frustrating, and they want to make it better. And yeah, you may be able to fault them for maybe how they present their arguments, or maybe they come off a little bit too hot, or maybe they come off a little bit too brash, or a little bit too disrespectful. But keep in mind, like, these are like 25-year-olds, most of them are like in their mid-20s. They're not going to be like super eloquent speakers. They're not going to be like, perfect in their delivery or perfect in their arguments. A lot of them are doing this off the cuff. And I feel like, yeah, you guys are shooting the messenger, right? Like, these people are trying to help us. A lot of content creators are trying to make this community a better place. There obviously are some that are toxic, and there's some that are, negative. But on the whole, I feel like a lot of these content creators who really are trying to point out issues with solo queue and with the NA region as a whole, they're doing it because they care, right? And I feel like that's something that a lot of people often forget, is that just because somebody's criticizing you or your group or your country or your region doesn't mean that they don't care about you. It usually means that they do care about you. Like, if I don't care about somebody, I don't talk to them. I don't interact with them. I don't let them know when they're messing up. I don't let them know when they're doing good. I don't let them know when they're doing bad. I just don't care. I'm apathetic towards them. It's only people that I actually care about that I'll actually stop and be like, hey man, you're messing up. Like, you made this mistake. Like, you can be better. Like, I believe in you, etc., etc., etc. Like, I don't invest my time in things unless I care about them. And that's the same with these content creators. It's like, they wouldn't put their necks out and they wouldn't spend their time doing this stuff unless they cared about it. And yeah, so just if somebody's criticizing you, like, yeah, you might get some people who criticize you who are just trying to troll you or just trying to put you down and things like that. But don't automatically assume that's what it is. A lot of people who criticize are doing it because they want to help you improve. Especially if those people are, coming at you with a relatively even head, which I felt like a lot of these content creators have. They weren't being raging. They sat down calmly and they explained their issues. The other thing that really bothered me is that there's this weird logical fallacy that's rampant within the League community that if you have ever been toxic in your life, if you've ever had a bad game, if you've ever soft-inted, then you cannot talk about any of the issues going on in NA solo queue. And that's like the worst ad hominem logical fallacy I think I've ever seen. Like, everybody rages from time to time. Everybody soft-ins from time to time. Everybody messes up from time to time. Everybody tries an off-meta pick and fails miserably from time to time. Like, that doesn't mean that you can't talk about it. Just because that you are part of the problem doesn't mean you can say like, hey, we've got a problem here, right? Like the first step to fixing yourself is acknowledging that you've got a problem. So that's why I just don't understand why people are attacking the person who's like, making the argument rather than attacking the argument. That's like a textbook definition of an ad hominem attack. So yeah, just stop doing that. If you're doing that and you're saying, oh well, Voyboy, he did this in this game, 20 games ago, and he did this and he softened it. Doesn't matter. His argument's still valid. So yeah, it's rather stupid. But yeah, I just want to say that I stand by these content creators. I stand by all of them. They are trying to make the community a better place, whether you think that or not. And if you actually sit down and you talk to most of these people, I guarantee you would agree with them on 95% of what they have to say. Don't judge a person based off of some Twitch clip that you see that's taken completely out of context. So yeah. But that's not why I wanted to make this video. The reason why I wanted to make this video is I wanted to actually talk about what I think are the issues, what I think the goals should be for the NA region, and how we can potentially solve this problem. And the solutions that I'm going to provide are not original, they're not unique. I know that plenty of other people have proposed similar solutions before, but this is how I would like to see the issue fixed. And my solution is definitely not all-encompassing, but the whole point of this is for it to be a starting point. I want this to be a discussion starter with the community, with people who watch my videos, with people who happen to stumble across this video. I want to hear your guys' thoughts. I want you to find flaws in my arguments. I want you to point out ways that the things that I want to implement could be abused or exploited. I want you to propose your own solutions, right? Like, I don't have 100% solution. At best, I have an 80% solution, probably far less than that. But we at least have to have the conversation, because if we do nothing, it's just going to stay the same, right? We're just going to keep having the same crappy seasons over and over. We're going to have the same disappointment at Worlds over and over, right? We have to tear the Band-Aid off. We have to look very critically at our community and say, why the hell are we so jacked up? Why can we not fix ourselves? Why do we keep having these issues? And this seems like a great time to do it because, 10-year anniversary just passed. We're about to have the 10th League of Legends championship here in probably about 6 months or so. It's time. We're entering a new decade of League of Legends. It's time. It's time to reform. It's time to wake up. It's time to fix ourselves. And this is what I think we should do. So I think the first step in trying to figure out like what you need to fix is figure out what your goal is. And I've broken it down into the pro level, high elo, and then all elos. Just in general, I think that the all elo things is applicable not just to low elo but high elo. So I didn't want to call it low elo and high elo. I want to call it high elo because I think high elo faces specific problems, and then I wanted to have an all-encompassing one as well. So at the professional level, I think the goal is that we want to have better competition within the league, right? Less of a delta between the best team and the worst team, less of a delta between LCS and Academy, less of a delta between Academy and collegiate teams or other amateur teams. And then also we want to have improved performance at international events, so less of a delta between us and the other major regions of the world. For high elo, I think the biggest thing is we have to bring back a sense of accomplishment. Like, who cares if you're high elo right now? Like, if you're diamond or even higher, like, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't have any value, or at least doesn't feel like it does. Like, that's one of the things that I've talked about for a long time. Is like, I don't play solo queue because I don't see the point. I don't see the point in putting hundreds or thousands of hours into solo queue games when the rank doesn't mean anything. When it's just banging your head against a wall, trying to get 4 other monkeys to all group together and try and, bash down a tower. when you've got people farming side lanes and farming jungle camps, stupid stuff like that. So yeah, I don't see the point of solo queue right now. I've said this for years. And I think a lot of people are coming around to that viewpoint and saying like, yeah, there's no point. The sense of accomplishment is gone, and it's just too frustrating. It's just not worth the effort anymore to try and grind to be a high rank. The other big issue at high elo is we need to have harsher punishments for people who are either soft inting or hard inting. We have a really good system in place that deals with toxicity and the language filter and things like that. It definitely screens, I'd say, the vast majority of bad language and toxic behavior as far as like typing is concerned. But there's nothing that addresses soft inting and hard inting. And I feel like that's the next step. We have to put something in place because people have learned that as long as they don't say anything, they're not going to get punished. And they can just ruin games for people, and they're not going to get punished. They're not going to face any repercussions. And they can do it to, people who are on Twitch with thousands of views, and it's the video is there for everyone to see, and they still won't get punished. Like, it's ridiculously obvious. And if somebody with hundreds of thousands of followers and thousands of views can't get somebody banned because they have video evidence that the person is griefing their game, like, what's the common person supposed to do? The common person can't do anything. So basically, at all levels, people are free to just soft int. People are free to just grief. People are free to throw. And it makes you feel like you're hostage in the game, which is not fun at all. Like, why would you want to queue up for that? And then at all elos, we need to have more rewarding games. I think that's the goal that everybody wants, and we need to have a reduction in smurfs, griefers, toxicity, all that type of stuff. So those are kind of the overarching goals, and they're very general. But what's the solution, right? How do we actually go about this? It's very easy a lot of times to spot the problem. It's a lot harder to figure out how to solve the problem. So here's some ideas. And obviously, like I said, this is not a 100% solution. Some of these ideas might be horrible. So please point out the flaws in any of the ideas that I have. Please let me know how you think they can be improved, or please leave a comment if you have your own ideas on ways that we can make things better. So first off, at the pro level, we got to have better amateur leagues. That's like number one. Like, our infrastructure is god awful in North America. It's so insane to me that we have so much money in the LCS, and yet we don't have a competent amateur league. Like, what the hell? Like, China, EU, Korea, they all have way better amateur leagues than we do. They all have way better infrastructure than we do. If you just compare the number of pros that have come from the academy system or the collegiate system or the scouting grounds or any of the other NA-based amateur leagues and compare that to the EU Masters, there's no comparison. It's orders of magnitude difference with the number of pros that have come up from EU Masters. And it's just sad. Like, we have all this money and we put it all into the LCS and player salaries and fancy, gimmicky stuff, better production value, all this other stuff, and we're kind of rotten because we have no infrastructure, we have no base, we have nothing to pull from. So if we want to actually, grow our own talent rather than import it, like, you got to invest in, the 12, 13, 14, 15-year-old kid who's grinding solo queue, who doesn't know what he wants to do with his life, and support him and push him into that, give him a path that he can walk to become a pro. Because right now it doesn't exist. It feels like it's almost like blind luck, whether or not you get found out by a professional team here in NA. Secondly, we need better incentives for educational content. Educational content is I won't say it's dead, but it's on life support for Twitch and YouTube. Like, think about the educational content creators there are. Like, there's me, There's Rakayu. Dominate's getting more back into educational content. There's LS. There's a few of the different coaches from different teams that put out educational content here and then. Midbeast. There's there's websites that release videos trying to get you to sign up for the website and pay a subscription fee. There's quite a few different websites that have that type of a model. That's it. Compare that to the amount of just other streamers that are out there. It's like educational content makes up maybe like 5 to 10% of league content out there. Why? I personally think the answer is that it's not economical, right? If you're doing educational content, it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time to research, to prepare a script, to actually put your words down, to edit it, to get, the visuals to match up with the audio. It takes a lot of time, and the reward is pretty minimal. Like, you may get a few more views, maybe you get double the views, as opposed to like a more clickbaity type video, like a clickbaity type like gameplay video. But you put in like 10 times the hours. So you're putting in 10 times the amount of hours for only double the views, only double the pay. It's just not economical for most people. So this is why you see that the very few people who do educational content, it's usually because they've got another job. The educational content is just their side piece, essentially. So yeah, we need to incentivize educational content more. And it doesn't necessarily have to mean that you have to support people on Patreon, or that we have to give educational people, salaries or something like that. It could just be simple as Riot putting up educational content in the freaking client, or putting up educational content on their website. Drive traffic to the people who are putting that additional time in to try and actually create a good product that helps players. I feel like it would be really easy, and it would be a huge benefit to the few people who actually do educational content. I mean, other thing would be is like, give them other incentives. Like, the LPP program is phenomenal, but I don't see Riot talking to any of these educational content creators, giving them some type of exclusive access to something. I don't see anything being done to try and encourage people to try and evolve the game or innovate in the game at all. And that's really frustrating, because that means that most people aren't going to do it. The next thing is, I'm sorry, but like, our analysts, our coaches, I feel like they're just not that good. And I don't want to like throw shade on anyone. I don't want to like disrespect anyone. But I feel like when they mandated that you have to have coaches, and when they mandated that you have to have analysts, and they created all these positions, it created almost like a power vacuum. And people had to fill those slots. And the people who filled the slots, they weren't ready to step into those positions. But I mean, I don't fault them for doing it. Like, if I had been offered one of those positions, I probably would have been jumped at it at a heartbeat. But they weren't ready. And now that they're in those positions, like, they're just struggling to tread water. They can't actually learn to swim. It's like jumping into a deep end without learning to swim. And that's what I feel like. I feel like just NA analysts and coaches are just drowning. Like, they're just straight up drowning right now. So there needs to be more support for analysts, coaches. I know LS talked about like creating like a boot camp, like for analysts or coaches. I think that'd be a great idea. Either that or just more resources. Like, God, like, I know there are people who want to do this as a career. I know there are people who want to do this, but like, how do you do it? Like, how do you become an analyst? How do you become a coach besides, just happenstance, just happening, creating a post or creating a video, and just, the right person just happening to see something that you do and saying, oh, this guy seems really intelligent. Maybe I'll give him a shot. Like, it feels like it's so arbitrary and random who actually is able to get into the scene. And then once you get into the scene, how do you grow and evolve as an analyst? How do you become better? especially when most of the analysts and coaches are not as good as the players and probably never will be and may not even have the same level of knowledge as the players. Like, how do you coach someone when you're not as good as them? It's difficult. It's a really interesting problem, and I feel like if NA is going to get better, the support for the analysts and the coaches also has to get better. So the fourth one, this kind of ties into the amateur leagues, but there needs to be a path to go from amateur to pro. Like, you have to provide a framework so people know how to achieve their goal, right? Like, it's just one of those type of things where it doesn't have to, you don't have to make it easy, but you have to make it achievable, right? You have to be able to at least see how you can get there in order for you to actually want to make the leap, to go for it, basically. And I don't feel like there really is like a established method to go to pro. Like, it's kind of like grind solo queue, maybe start a stream, hope somebody notices you. It's very similar to what we're seeing with analysts and coaches. It's just like, just do random stuff and hope somebody notices you is what it seems like it takes to either be an analyst, a coach, or a pro, it seems like. And maybe I'm wrong, and you guys can correct me, but that's what it looks like, at least from my perspective, because I see a lot of really deserving people that could play in LCS, or could be a coach in LCS, or could be an analyst in LCS, and it's like they can't get the time of the day, it feels like. So yeah. And then the final thing is that I do feel like that, like, there's not that much incentive to go pro. Like, I don't know, like, if I was a kid coming up and I was, Master, Grandmaster, Challenger, and it was like, oh, hey, I could start a stream and, make 100K a year just chilling, streaming, or, I can risk it and go pro and have to do, 12 to 18-hour days, and yeah, maybe I get paid more, but I freaking just like run myself ragged, working 100 plus hours a week trying to achieve a dream. Yeah, I don't know, like being a pro player does not seem like appetizing to me at all. Maybe I'm just too old and or too wise, but yeah, like, why would you want to be a pro, especially like in NA? Like, why would you want to be a pro? Like, best case scenario right now, it's you go to Worlds and then you get smashed at Worlds. That's like your best case scenario as a pro, and that's like most pros don't even get that. So yeah, I feel like there's got to be more incentives for pros, better lifestyle, better living, more support. Not necessarily monetary, because we have plenty of money, but just like, you're giving up a lot of your life to be a pro. Like, there's got to be something that you get in return for that, and I don't feel like we're there with NA, at least. So that's my potential solutions for pro level. I'm sure there's plenty more. Let me know in the comments. High elo. Number one, I really feel like we've got to have a dedicated server for high elo. I know that Riot is going to balk at this idea, but I'm sorry, having a server located in Chicago makes no freaking sense when the vast majority of your high player base is located in LA. Like, there should be an LA centered high elo server that's invite only. And the reason why it should be invite only is because that way you have something that you can take away from people who abuse it. Like, the only way that you can bring back the prestige of solo queue is to not make it free, essentially. The only way that you can improve the quality of games to prevent people from inting games or griefing games or trolling games or being toxic in games is to say, yeah, by the way, you can be kicked off of this server, and yeah, you can't just make a new account and grind back up and get back into the server. This is an exclusive club, and if you don't mind your manners and you don't actually treat it seriously, you won't be welcome here anymore. And this is how they've dealt with it in a lot of other games. They dealt with this in most competitive games, have exclusive servers for high elo players, and I don't understand why we don't do it for NA, right? Like Korea's got one if I remember correctly, China's got one if I remember correctly. They do it in most other games. Make an LA based dedicated server for the top 1,000 people or the top 2,000 people, whatever we think is a right number. And yeah, and you make it invite only, and you make it something that people can lose, because that'll make people shape up. That'll make people really think before they're going to soft int or they're going to be really toxic in game. The other thing is that along with this dedicated server, there need to be manual reviews for soft or hard inting. It's a huge problem. It's a massive problem, especially at high elo, when games can be decided on a single mistake. It's very obvious when people are making mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake. And I understand people have bad games. I understand that people have off days. But if you see a pattern of behavior or it becomes obvious, these people should be getting warnings. They should be saying, hey man, you were soft inting. We checked it. You soft inted that last game. If you don't shape up, then you're getting the boot from the server. Along with that, I also wouldn't be opposed to having increased either LP or MMR losses if you soft or you hard int, right? Because people say, oh, well, people have bad days. You shouldn't ban them just because they have a bad day. Yeah, but if you're playing like crap, that doesn't really mean that you deserve to be in that elo anymore. So I feel like if you're inting a lot, if it's pretty obvious that you don't belong with the people you're playing with, you should lose more LP. You should lose more MMR. And that will be an incentive to basically stop people from, playing bad. Essentially, I think it would definitely make people want to try harder if they knew that they were going to lose more than just the game. They were going to lose way more LP, they were going to lose way more MMR, and they were also potentially going to lose their spot on the high elo server. I also think that to come along with this, there also needs to be more severe punishments for false reporting, right? Like, if you're going to increase the punishments for people who are actually found guilty, then you also need to implement punishments for people who try to falsely accuse people as well. So if you falsely accuse like 5 or 10 people, guess what? You get the same punishment as somebody who actually was soft inting or hard inting. And maybe you get kicked off the server as well. I feel like that would be a great way to make sure that people, thought before they reported. I know that people are very quick to spam the report button, and it's because they don't have they feel like there's no consequences for clicking the report button. I feel like there needs to be accountability and consequences on both sides, right? Like if you get reported, you should be held accountable, and you should take ownership for your actions. And if you report someone, you should also be held accountable, and you should also take ownership of your actions. So this is another one that a lot of people have talked about, is that there should be some type of currency or rewards that encourages competition, right? Like a lot of people, they hit D4 and they're just like, oh, hit D4, don't care anymore. Or even like Gold 4, like I hit Gold 4, don't care. Or I hit Challenger, don't care anymore. I feel like there should be an incentive to try every game. And I think a good way to do that would be some type of currency, some type of more consistent rewards, like rewards on a third of a season or a fourth of a season or monthly or something like that. There needs to be more prestige associated with it. And currency, I'm not talking about like necessarily real money, but it should be some type of exclusive stuff. Like Hotshot GG made a point about how like people would grind the hell out of PvP or grind the hell out of, dungeons, raids, things like that, because they wanted to have that cool gear that they could show off in one of the hub cities. They wanted that status symbol. And I think that people would feel the same way in League, is that if they had more status symbols, and those status symbols were really hard to get, you have to make it hard. You have to make it really challenging. You have to make it exclusive in order for people to actually care and actually want to get it. Another thing that they brought up is, we've made it kind of a lot easier to have a high rank. Like, it seems like the number of challenger slots keeps getting larger and larger, and that devalues the word challenger. I think we're up to 300 spots in challenger now. It used to be, I think it used to be 100, and then they raised it to 200. Now they raised it to 300. And there's a huge skill disparity between, the rank 1 or the rank 5 or the rank 10 and the rank 295, right? So I'd actually would be okay with like either breaking up challengers or breaking it up into, challenger 1, 2, 3, 4, that type of stuff, grandmaster 1, 2, 3, 4, master 1, 2, 3, 4, or even giving different names to, the top of the top, the top 50, the top 10, call them, legends, call them champions, call them something, give them a cool name, give them a cool title, give them something that nobody else has, make something exclusive that people can brag about. People love to do that, especially at the highest levels. And the big thing is, this kind of ties in the same thing, but there's got to be some type of prestige of high elo. Like, I could pay for a boost to Diamond easy, or Master, or maybe even Grandmaster. There's no point. Like, it's just like, I feel like the grind is kind of pointless. Like, even if you reach one of those really, really uber high tiers, why care? Like, does it prove that you know what you're doing? Does it prove that you're good? Does it prove that you're one of the best players in the world? I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, like, I have a feeling that if a lot of the challenger, master, grandmaster players in NA went over to a different server, they'd struggle to get out of Diamond. So yeah, we have to bring back the prestige that comes along with the rank, and that will encourage competition. That will increase the ferocity, I guess, that people are willing to fight for a game. And it will hopefully discourage people from, soft inting and from just griefing in general. And along with that, I feel like there needs to be prestige for people who play more than one role or who play more than one champion. Because right now, the easiest way to climb is one trick. That's all you do. Like, it's, everybody will say the same thing. The easiest way to climb, limit yourself to 1 or 2 champions and just become a master on that champion. But that's not how you actually get good. Like, you can't be a one trick and then go pro from that. Like, there have been a few in the past, but if you look at like Korea, if you look at Europe, if you look at China, these people aren't restricting themselves to a small champion pool or to even to one role, right? G2, a lot of the teams in Korea, they're doing role swaps. They're flexing champions to weird positions. Like, the next decade of League is the draft strategy is going to evolve a lot, and you have to be able to play more than one role. You have to be able to play more than one champion. It's going to be about, how deep and wide you can go as far as your champion pool and your roles, and like how good of a player are you overall, not how much of a niche player you are and how good are you with one specific champion or one specific role. And I feel like there's got to be an incentive for that, because if we're going to fall behind even more if we don't start, playing more champions, playing more roles, understanding the game at a more fundamental level. Like, how many laners know what the hell jungle does? How many junglers know what the hell wave management is? Like, basic knowledge. The vast majority of the player base knows nothing except the roles that they play or the champions that they play, and it just doesn't cut it anymore. So yeah, there's got to be better incentives. I know they tried to do it with positional ranks and things like that, but I would really like to see something else, something that encourages people to diversify their champion pool, to diversify the roles they play. Um, yeah, I think that would be really beneficial for the server as a whole. So finally, we get down to the all elo. So not just low elo, but high elo. I think that these changes would benefit pretty much the entire ladder, the entire player base. First one, get rid of promotional series. Like straight up, promotional series give griefers and trolls way too much power because you cannot dodge your promo series. So all a person has to do is look up your op.gg, see that you're in a promotional series, and they have complete and total control over you because you can't dodge. You are locked in there with them. And they can be like, give me your role or I int. Play this champion or I int. They can control you. And what do they care if they lose that one game? You lose a promotional game. Those promotional games for you are way more important than some random game for another person. So the only thing the promotional series do is they empower griefers, they empower trolls, they empower people who want to abuse the system, they put undue stress on players, and there's no real point for them. Like, why should you have to win a series to go up a rank? And why should you be protected at 0 LP to go down a rank? Just make it so that if you go above 100 LP, you promote, and if you go below 100 LP, you demote. Simple, easy. I don't really care if I'm going up or down a rank 5 times in a day. That's far better than having to go through a promotional series 3, 4, 5, 6 times and then bite my fingernails when I'm sitting at 0 LP, hoping that I'm not going to drop the rank and have to redo the whole goddamn promotional series again. It's just not fun. It's tiring. It's tedious. And it gives way too much power to the bad apples within our community. On top of that, I think we should just get rid of ranks. Like, just go back to the ELO system. Go back to the MMR system. Just show it, right? Like, why do we have this difference between your MMR and your rank? Like, I've had weird things where my MMR is like 4 or 5 divisions above my actual rank, and I'm playing against people 4 or 5 divisions, above my actual rank, but I don't get I don't get the rank, right? Like, I have to face harder opponents, but I don't get any of the reward, right? I still have to grind. I still have to, prove myself over hundreds of games to actually get to that rank that I really already am in because I'm playing against people of that rank. It just doesn't make any sense. Why add that extra layer of complexity to it? Just give the person the rank that you think that they are. If they've got, Diamond 4 MMR, but they're only in Plat 4, what the hell does it matter? Give them Diamond 4. If they start doing poorly after that, then okay, then their MMR changes and you bump them back down to Plat 2 or something like that. Like, there's no reason to have a hidden MMR system and then an open rank system that's influenced by the MMR system. It doesn't make any sense. It's unnecessary complexity. The other thing that I would really like Riot to do is I would really like it if Riot tied the Riot account to your phone number or some form of personally identifiable information rather than email addresses, because I think that this would increase accountability. The fact that you can be so anonymous on League of Legends, I don't think is actually a good thing, because you can get a League of Legends account for free. There's getting a permanent ban is not really a disincentive, because they'll just make a new email account, open a new account, and then they'll just ruin more games for more players. Like, if you tie an account to a phone number or an IP address, or IP address is probably bad because people can do VPN and things like that, but something that kind of ties it to the person, people are going to be a lot less likely to int and grief and troll and be toxic, because if they lose that account, it's gone, it's done. They don't get another account, right? And yeah, I think it would make people a lot more accountable. And obviously, you would want to make it so that permanent bans were less common. If that were to happen, you would want to give people more chances, because once they were done, they'd be really, really done. But I do think that you need to make it so that if you get permanently banned, you don't get to make any more accounts. You're done. Just you are no longer welcome in the community. I also think that you should be able to have multiple league accounts on one Riot account. So, let's say you play top lane and you're a diamond level top laner, and then you want to learn how to play jungle, right? You don't want to play jungle on your diamond account because you're going to get destroyed, right? So let people have other accounts for other roles, or let people have other accounts if they want to practice champions they're not good at. And you basically have a trickle down effect on their MMR, their ranking, things like that. So maybe if he's a diamond for top laner, you start him off in like gold or platinum for jungle, and then you adjust him from there. I don't exactly know what the translation would be, but you don't want to start him off with bronze players because he's just going to pub stomp them, and it's not going to be fun for anybody, basically. You want to try to find where his elo is as soon as possible. And the only way to do that is to link accounts to a single Riot account. And I do think that there should be incentives for doing this. If you say, hey, I've got my main account, I want to create a Smurf because I want to off-roll or whatever, Riot should streamline your leveling process, maybe give you level 30 right away. They should unlock a bunch of jungle. Like if you say, hey, I want to create a Smurf account for jungling, they should unlock a bunch of jungling champs for you automatically. They should say, okay, yep, you've already unlocked these jungle champs. Here, you can unlock all of these jungle champs on this account too. That way you actually have a decent champion pool and you don't risk getting banned out on your new account, things like that. That would just make things so much better. It would also get rid of the practice of, people leveling accounts with bots, things like that. You would destroy that market. You would destroy that economy. You would make the leveling up process for new players a whole lot better, because they wouldn't be stuck with Smurfs, and they wouldn't be stuck with bots, and they wouldn't be stuck with toxic people who are creating new accounts because their other account got banned. It would fix a lot of issues if you just let people say, I'm a Smurf, can I have a level 30 account? Or can I link my Smurf account to my main account so that way I can I can just get back into the ranked grind. I can figure out how good of a jungler I am or how good of a mid laner I am. So yeah, I think that would ease the pain of a lot of people, especially new players. And that's something that we are sorely lacking right now, is we need new players in this game. Like most of the people who play this game have been playing it for years and years and years, and the game is not approachable to new players at all. So we need to do a better job bringing new players into the fold. We need to do a better job just bringing new players in, right? We need to have new people in the community, and right now we are not a very helpful community. We are not a very open community. We're not a very friendly community to outsiders, and I think that is really hurting us, and it hurts the longevity of our game that we care a lot about. So if we want League to survive, another generation, we want to bring new players into this game. So those are my thoughts. Obviously, I do not have all the answers, and I'm sure that there's all sorts of problems or flaws in the ideas that I presented. I definitely want to discuss this with everyone. This is not an ending point. This is a starting point. All I ask is you be respectful. You don't attack the messenger. You don't use ad hominem attacks against anyone. You focus on the argument. You show the flaws of the arguments if you find them. And ideally, if you find a flaw in an argument, you should propose a solution that you think solves the flaw to that argument. That's the way that you have a constructive conversation. You don't just shit all over someone's idea and then just say, yeah, you're bad, you suck, and don't provide any meaningful constructive input of your own. That's just you being a troll and being an asshole. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a like. Obviously, you can always hit me up on Discord. Happy to continue this conversation. I'll also be trying to check the comments. to answer any questions or respond to any feedback you guys have. And hopefully I will be able to do more videos like this in the future. There's a lot of stuff going on in the League community, and I would love to talk about it more. So if you like these type of videos, definitely let me know. I definitely want to talk about, drafting strategies and like LS's Magic the Gathering analogies that he's done, and talk about, the different regions, and talk about, movie, looking forward to Worlds or looking forward to the summer split. There's all sorts of cool topics we could talk about, and I'm definitely open to ideas. So anyway, hope you guys have a fantastic day. This is Randomonium signing off.